Okay, did you miss me, folks? We're back. I got another couple hours. We can knock this out. At least 2 hours is probably good. Had a phone call I had to get to, so I had to kind of shut that to cut it short to attend to that phone call. But now we're back. So the writing's on the wall. I almost got this guy done, and when they're done, this whole army is complete. So I need to push forward and see if we can't knock that out in 2 hours. That's definitely a goal that could be achievable. So yeah, let's see what we can knock out here. All right. Yeah, because once these guys are done, then we can start doing the process of sealing them up, and also um, we can start seriously looking at what army I'm going to do next, and I'm mapping out the figures because whoever it is I'm doing, I probably have at least half the army of the figures already. So, all right, we're going to lose the glasses here, and once you do, you got any questions? I'll be happy to answer them. Helps keep me entertained. To you guys that some of you stuck with me for a couple hours this morning. Well, just a little while ago, just shy of 2. So this is Eastern Standard Time. So you guys helped me power through this last guy. So I greatly appreciate it. That's you have no idea how helpful that is. So anyhow, let's go back to finishing our last horseman here. So we're going to do the, let's see, we're going to do a head wrap on this guy. We want to make sure that we don't have the same type of colors that we did. So this, we did a yellow, we did a white and red. We did a yellow and white. We did a white and brown. I don't really want to introduce a blue or even a light blue into it. The top, that's a white one, that's a white one, that's a red one. So how about we do a yellow top and a red around the bottom. All right, let's do that. This is how decisions are made. You just kind of throw some ideas out there. For sure. It's losing its ability to keep those things on it. Keep the paint moistened. Running out of free space to. We're going to do yellow on the top, right? We're going to do red on the bottom. All right. Now what I may do is this red that I'm doing on the bottom, I'm probably going to, I wanted a different colored red than the shade that's on around the fringes here of this cloth. So we're probably going to lighten him up with a yellow. Just kind of giving you a warning. Because we don't want to look like we got lazy and already had this other color mixed up and just kind of went with it. So all right, now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start. I've added black to this red. It's like my darkest shade, and I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want any more red. I want to start adding the yellow in. So we're going to grab our yellow and start adding some of that in. Now this is one of the most incorrigible colors because they're usually either thick and chalky-like or they're going to be very watery. And I don't remember which one this one is. I want to say this is a chalky one. Yeah, this one's not mixing worth a damn. Let's see. Let's see if we can. Oh, you know what? I don't have to struggle with that. We've got the Phoenix Flames from War Painter. We'll use that one. This one's the watery end. One. Okay. Nice yellow color. All right. So let's go ahead and take this red color that we have over here. Let's go ahead and switch to the other brush. All right. This may end up not being very red by the time I'm done with it, and that's all right. That is okay. A little bit more yellow on the next shade up. Almost like the consistency of an egg yolk. This War Painter paint is kind of gooey like that. I don't love the colors. It's not a color issue. I don't love how they go on, but they're useful because it just gives you some other shades, some tints that I wouldn't have in my Vallejo paints. Okay. Now let's add a little bit of white. Lighten this up a little more. Where's the spot we're working on? Here. So we get this guy done. That means we can spray tonight. If we spray one coat tonight, that means we can spray the second coat tonight, and then do the coat tomorrow. The good news is This is a lot of figures, and these guys took a while, but it's only 3 stands worth. 3 stands? 4 stands. 4 stands worth. So adding the base material, which sometimes can take a while, is not going to take that long with only 4 stands. And cavalry is not that bad because they're more spaced out than say heavy foot on the stand, so they're easier to maneuver around and getting that material in where you can work it. So it's easier to do that with this with these guys. So okay, and I think we're going to do one more level of a lighter color here. Lighten it up a little bit. Oh. It's a great chair, but man, it likes to creak a lot. It's an old computer chair that I had when I had a computer, when I had a desktop computer. So it's now turned into the painting chair for many years. So, all right. So we need to add a. Let's do his. Let's do the scabbard. I don't know what color I want. I just need to find it. It's down in here on the. Nope, not that one. This one. Khaki. The khaki color by Coat d'Arms. Almost should be called Japanese uniform. It looks like a Japanese army uniform, World War II. That's what it reminds me of. It's got a little bit of a green tinge to it. A little bit. A little bit. I'm going to paint this scabbard all in this color. Okay. And like I said, there's not much left on this guy. We're painting the scabbard now. You can do a belt. The back of the saddle. A few strappings on the horse. This one doesn't have a whole lot. The shield color. Then the top of his turban. And this whole army is shaded. You guys were really helpful a little while ago. I was able to paint. Should be able to paint for about another hour and a half. I plan on using that time to get this guy's done. Because you know what? I'm dying to put the next army together. Just dying. I've almost got it narrowed down to who it's going to be. Almost. So. Hopefully it is an army that you guys have not seen a lot. So it will be maybe not inspirational, but at least something different. And I'm going to end up having to buy some figures for it because I don't have all of them mounted for them, but I have all the foot. So we're not going to start buying the figures that we need. I know about how long it's going to take. We're going to allow for COVID delivery time, but we're going to start on the foot. Okay, so that I end up getting to the point of no return. The thing I want to do is end up buying things and not doing anything with it. So, all right. So this is really, really close now. And of course, it doesn't really mean that the army's done. It means that I still have to do the basing, but that's like the point of no return. That's at that point where you're like doing the basing, like, okay, hurry, do the basing so I can take pictures of them all, you know? So there's a little incentives there where it's too late to back out of it. So I know me. That's what I would. That's exactly what I would be doing at that point. Once they're all done, it's like, okay, hurry up and get them based so that we can get the we can get take pictures of them, you know. But once this guy's done, and I gotta wait him to dry a little bit. You don't have to wait to dry all day, but dry a little bit so that you can start applying the different clear coats to seal them. Let's where is my trusty bronze? The color is extremely useful. Is my bronze. And my Vallejo bronze, I've had it a long time. I've never had to replace it. You don't use very much of it. Everything's organized until they're all out here placed in front and center. Is this it over here? That's it. Okay. I swear things are organized. They just all the come out and play. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All the paints. Yeah, they're all out here in this area up in between figures. So where's that bronze corner? Here it is. All the bronze paint seems to just one little boop. That's it. All right, what are we doing on the bronze? I'm gonna put the hilt of the sword. That's kind of my standard go-to color for that. Hilt? I think that's what I'm trying to say. The part of the sword that keeps your hand from being sliced off while you're wielding it by a glancing blow. All right, a little bit of this. Tiny little bit. A little too zoomed in. That's good. There we go. These stages in here, some of these just take so little amount of paint, it doesn't even count. Shield front color. We've got some browns. What are these other ones that I've done? I've done, that's a light brown. That's kind of a light brown. All right, what if we did, well, we could do a red one, a reddish type color. Are no reds alive? They all died? Ah, it's over here. I twisted this thing around and confused myself. Okay, so let's do a red. And just do things a little bit differently. Let's see. There we go. All right, we're going to do a red, and we're going to darken it with some brown instead of just doing black. Okay, darken it with some brown again, a little more. Yeah, this War Master paint, War Painter paint definitely behaves differently. It's more gloopy. It's more. I'm not sure that's the correct term. It's got more if it was standard paint. Their paint definitely mixes differently. Um, it's definitely more watered down. So we're going to go with this. I'm going to cover this, and then we're just going to start lighting it up from here. Now, you know what? We can stand having one that's bright red. We don't have any bright red shields. So let's just do that. Add more of this red to it. Okay. I like painting shields, even this one, it doesn't have any designs on it. There's a lot of Arab shields that have really intricate designs, and I really didn't want this to be one of them. I want these guys to be kind of minimalist. Um, all right, we got that color. We're gonna go pink a little bit, but that's okay. Doesn't make this guy any less. All right. Yep. And a little bit more white. Get some highlighting in there. Feels like a Sunday today. Thank goodness it isn't. We do not need Sunday just yet. Okay, it's looking a little pink. Oh, why doesn't that come out? There we go. This really doesn't do it justice very much, but it is what it is. I'll take a picture of it afterwards. I did that on the last figure, so if you look at the community page, you'll see what my finished guy looked like that I just finished. Uh, just maybe a couple hours ago. Yeah, we finished him in the first set painting session. I really didn't have any expectations to how long these were going to run. I just knew I needed to get some painting, and I figured I'd have some people along with me to keep me motivated so I wouldn't cop out. You guys were my security blanket, so I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I need to knock these guys out. Okay. All right. So that's done. What do we got? We got horse trappings. We got the top of his thing. Let's go ahead and do the top. We're going to end up doing that white. But we don't have to use white itself. We can use a white, an off-white type color. Okay. Because we're going to end up lighting it up anyways. And with this one, we're going to go with medium gray. Okay. It's kind of a brown-based gray. And if you have any questions, feel free to just type them in there. You know, it helps keep me entertained. So let's see if we got any maintenance issues here. Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to being done with these guys. Not because it hasn't been real, although I suspect I'm going to do really poorly with this army. They're going to come crashing to their doom. Maybe not as bad as my Ottomans. But again, how they do in battle doesn't really matter. One of my favorite army is the Ottomans, and they're running about winning 25% of the games. It's pretty poor. But I love how they look. It's just, they don't inspire confidence. You don't have high expectations of how they're going to do on the. But that's okay. It's a game. Luckily, it's not my own skin out there. Just my lead minions. So. All right. Yeah, so I wanted to do some painting today, knock out some things, and also want to do it at a different time than normal, because normally I paint around 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, which basically means everybody in Europe can't really take place. And it seems like lots of people are interested in this kind of stuff from Europe. So I wanted to get something that was maybe a little bit more time. Girls are traveling; they're out of town. They're coming back today in a few hours. So I want to make hay while the sun still shines. Not that I can't do this while they're around, but you would pick up other background noises, a TV or something like going on. It could be faint or whatever, but I want to make sure you guys got some uninterrupted painting done here. And I needed to knock these guys out because, like I said, I am really close on being done with these. So okay, let's add more of this core color. Where is he? Over here. Here's the core color. So once this is done, what do we got left? A tiny little bit of the saddle, a belt, and the horse strappings. Well, the horse strappings that's actually a fun thing to do. It's not fun trying to cogitate about what color you're going to paint them. But once you decided on the paint, that actually makes a big difference in the look of the figure. So I don't mind doing that. All right. Add a little bit more of this color. Okay. And we go up one more. I just use this straight. Sip time. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we're gonna add a little bit of white. Easy with it. Okay. Horse straps. Okay. Let's see what we got on the other horses, strap wise. I'll probably use the same color. Let's just use that same color there. It's already out here. Use this ugly yellow-green color. Nah, we'll leave that one alone. We'll use this one here. Okay. So we got this little bit of horse strapping. One belt, the back of the saddle, and this arm is complete. Well, they still need to be based, but for the most part, that would be it. You know, because I'm telling you, I could feel how close I was getting. That I stayed up way past my bedtime last night, sifting through all the figures, trying to decide what army I was going to do next. Well, I actually had been brainstorming for a few days, and got a wild hair up my ass about doing a certain army, and figured, well, what if I have all the foot for them? And I do. Or let's put it this way, if I went out and bought the figures, I wouldn't be buying any figures I didn't already have. So that's probably who we're going to do next. And yeah, probably not an army you guys have seen a lot. So, although there's some armies I don't think I've ever seen anybody build, but they're mostly in book one where they would be hanging out at. And mostly it has to do with they don't make any figures for them, why no one's ever built them. But this is an army they make figures for, and it's not a very popular army because it's not a very powerful army. Okay, so I'm not interested in building armies that might be good in opens anymore. That's just not important to me. I'd rather do um, a Saloy silliness type of army, or an army I'm enjoying the most is playing those zany games that just are fast moving and are all over the place. You know, troops that are here today, gone tomorrow. You know, you roll a two and you have one overlap and it's over for them. You know, so those actually are a lot more fun. So. Going to be looking at using cities and villages more in our future play. So I think in doing that, I'm going to make sure that I'm working on an army that fits in with any villages I may have. So that's I have a little Arab town that came as one piece. It was for micro armor when I was going to do it as a little desert micro armor town. That's painted up and he's really, really cute. So that'll work well with these guys. They have these guys have some warband, and the way cities and stuff work, or is you end up using the higher number against both. So warband, in my opinion, are really shitty against mounted troops because their number's only at two. But in a city or in a camp, well, in a city they're +4, but in a camp they're +2. So a +2, but they end up using their higher number against everyone. So they're a 3-2. They end up using the 3 against mounted guys too. So they're a 5 in a camp. Um, so yeah, that's not too bad. A warband in a camp being a 5 versus mounted as opposed to being in the open and being a 2. Yeah, that's a huge difference. Now, if they get outscored, they get eliminated because you're pushed out of that camp. But hey, at least it gives you an option to put a guy in there. So, well, we rarely get our camps into combat. I mean, figure if your camp is fighting, you did something wrong. You shouldn't leaving it out to dry there. You should be deploying your troops in front of it and defending it. Unless that's your game plan to bait somebody with a camp and have them try to go after them and then counterpunch them. Not to give anybody any ideas, but yeah, you would think that after painting an irregular looking army like this, I would go to paint something like Romans or something where they're uniform and they're fancy dressed or something like that. But that's not going to be the case. So. In other news, I saw that it was posted today that I don't have any of their figures, but I do like those the forged in battle figures. They're relatively new. They've only been out a couple of years, and they just announced that their Dark Ages line is now available for people to purchase soon if they were not on the Kickstarter. I understand how Kickstarters work, but that's not really geared towards me. The idea of knowing that I bought something but I can't have it right now would just drive me bananas. I'd have to go into an insane asylum. It doesn't work for my personality type. I'm one of those people that as soon as I order something, I'm already looking for it in the mail the same day. So, but if I didn't order something, I'm okay. It's just if I know that I ordered something, I'm like, okay, where is it? I know I bought it. Where's it go? Where is it? You know. So, um, but I'm patient when it comes to painting. So if it takes a long time to paint, but yeah. So I'm going to do a little bit of research before I narrow down exactly who I'm going to paint. Because the problem with it is, why I'm putting so much thought into it is if I pick somebody who I really didn't want to, I'll start on the middle. I'll start in the middle of a project. I'm going to be committed to painting those guys probably for 3 or 4 months. So I don't want to make the wrong choice, so to speak. Um, I mean, there is no wrong choice. It's just I don't want to get stuck with somebody that I'm not excited about for 3 or 4 months. So, um, okay, put this little bit of the reins on this horse. These are nice horses. I like this. I should finish the Russians. Maybe what I'll do is I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got 7 mounted figures to do for the Russians, and the Russian army will be complete. The problem is I'm not excited to do them. They'll look great. I mean, I'll be happy with how they turn out. But okay, this is the saddle color because it's right here. This is what we're going to go with. Executive decision. Use the color that's the closest to where he's at. Some things you could just over cogitate. We'll go ahead and put the belt that color. We're just going to lighten it up differently. Okay. So there's a little bit of that belt showing. And let's go ahead and add white to it right now. Okay. And we're going to continue on with this color, lighting it up for the saddle. I can taste it. I can taste the end of the line here. There's still more to do, but this is basically the end of the line when it comes to painting this. We're going to put socks on this guy or not? Let's see how we're looking. Don't we have another red? Yeah, we have another reddish color horse, and he has socks on him, so we're not going to put any socks on this guy. This is how we make decisions like that. Like, we did that last time, so let's not do it this time. You don't want every horse to look the same. Let's go with this one here. Kevin. Hello, Kevin. You're out in Arizona, right? Do you know Jim Chaney? Do you know Jim Chaney from Arizona? I'm not sure when you sent that message. I just now noticed that you typed it. But Jim Chaney's from Arizona. He came and visited us here in Florida last year. He drove by himself because he wanted to play some DBA, and he is a hell of a guy. He is in... Where in Arizona is he from? He's from somewhere hot in Arizona. He is from... Where is he from? Hold on. He is from Peoria. I'm not sure where that is. Not Peoria, Illinois, but Peoria, Arizona. He's a hell of a nice guy. He came and he drove by himself. He was so excited to play DBA. I guess he'd watched our videos. He was so excited to play DBA. He drove by himself. He claims he drove without stopping to sleep, which is insanity. I had when I was younger an incident where I fell asleep at the wheel because of just being tired, and I was popping coffee, and that, in my opinion, is more dangerous than driving drunk. Not that driving drunk is safe, just saying that when you're driving while sleepy, your body, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't. Anyhow, they're both bad, but I've had an incident with that, and I can't imagine not getting my sleep on a driving, because driving's pretty boring to me. So, although any kind of long driving I've done, I've not done alone. I've done with either Mitch or somebody in the car. But he drove one supposedly without stopping. Orlando, spent the weekend with us, had a hell of a time with him, and hell of a nice guy. And he was planning on coming back and visiting us at Recon there in April, but this plague that is upon us kind of changed everybody's plans. So I think that unless you had a convention that happened before that, February or before, your plans for having a convention this year were left in the dust. There just isn't going to be one, and I'm not sure when there's going to be another one. And you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. We will plan events for one when we know that the conditions have changed, so that we're not left holding the bag. So, but he is a hell of a nice guy. Arizona, hot as shit out there right now, I bet. Well, it's probably hotter here because we have 103% humidity. So, but at least you guys have cool nights, I think. Our nights, we'll have those nights where they're bug infested and 85 degrees and no breeze. That sucks. But our winters are awesome. Our winters are heavenly. So, you've heard of them. You have the virus. Oh, man. Well, I hope you're doing okay. I hope you like watching videos. There's a lot of stuff out there to hopefully keep you guys entertained. They're not able to socialize, so this helps entertain them as well. So, Kevin, I hope you're doing better. And yes, thank you for your videos. Well, thank you for watching them. You know, which I had no intention of going almost 3 hours, and it did, and it was awesome because the the time just flew. But yeah, that kept me on task. That definitely kept me on task to get these guys done. So I want to get them done because I want to move on to the next project. Yeah, and I can't work on more than one project at one time. I get sidetracked. So that idea that I could be doing the Russians and this other thing at the side is just fallacy. It just isn't going to happen. And with that said, this guy's done. Bam! As they say in Warcraft, work complete. Okay, so this is the last. I struggle with what these guys are called. I used to call them Coleridge, but they're not. They're Courage, I believe is what it is. I had to watch a couple of videos of fundamentalist sounding videos that they were talking about these guys, and these are kind of the ISIS of Arabia in the 9th century. But yeah, courage is how they, I believe, pronounce them. And yeah, let's get these guys in for me. I won't do them any justice because this video isn't worth a damn compared to pictures. But at least you can see, hey, look, I did get them all done. Hey, here they are. It's the 12 figures. So this is going to make up. We already have one stand of mounted. It's the command stand here. This is going to make up 4 more stands of mounted, and they are considered knights. So we got to wait for this guy to dry a little bit, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start doing the different levels of the coating that I have. So yeah. So and what that entails. Hello. What that entails is we're going to do a clear gloss over them all. We're going to use, hopefully this works okay. I normally use Model Master, but they got bought out by Rust-Oleum and they changed the whole how they do it. And man, this stuff is expensive. I know I could probably buy a larger quantity and probably get a better deal, but that's okay. So this is a clear gloss. Then after that's dry, we'll do a clear flat. And then what we're going to do to make it extra flat is put this stuff right here. This is kind of a new edition. Flat clear lacquer finish. New edition meaning I've only started doing this in the last couple of armies to make them extra flat. This stuff is, you got to be really careful with it because if you brush it on and if you go over it multiple times, it gets tacky really fast and it'll pull the paint you already have off. So it's like, okay, one brush stroke and that's it. It's okay if it's too thick because it doesn't cover up any of the details, but you don't want to go over it while it's still wet. So I've had really good results with that. So yeah, that's what it's going to be. And what do we have here? Thank you for videos. Didn't think you liked knights. I don't. Well, you got to think because you got to consider. I like knights more than I like warband, and there's a ton of warband in this army. So there is this army consists of 5 knights. 4, 5 fast warband, a bow, a fast bow stand, and then 1 unit that can either be another warband for the full 6 or a light horse. So we had an event that was coming up that one of the guys was running. We had to have a minimum of 6 warbands. So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna paint these guys because they fight some of Mitch's troops. They fight Mitch's Umayyad that he has and likes very much. So perfect fit. And so it's 5 knights and 5 warband, a fast bow, and then you either have another one more fast warband or a light camel. So realistically, most of the time that's how they're going to be run. Okay, because I would rather have options. I'd rather have a light horse than one more troop type of something I already have 5 of. Okay, so that's mainly how they're going to be run. But I don't like knights because they leave you hanging. If they win, that's great. But if only one guy wins, he gets surrounded and killed. But that doesn't mean I don't build knight armies. I want armies that look different from each other. Okay, so I don't like warband either because they suck against mounted. But again, we're talking about, do I like guys and have confidence in them in like an open tournament setting? Okay. No, I don't. Are these guys going to be fun to play? You bet they're going to be fun to play. They're going to die gloriously and all kinds of stuff. Case in point is my Ottomans. My Ottoman Turks, I love that army. I love how they look. And I have probably a 25% win record with them. Maybe even lower than that. I'll guarantee I will do better than 25% with these guys. Guaranteed. Maybe 30%. But anyways, but that doesn't matter. I love my Ottomans. I love how they look. I love how to play, but they're just frustrating to try to win a game out of. So, but that's okay. Winning's only half of the game. Armies that are less than stellar or a little challenging. So my next army is going to make this one seem like a powerhouse for sure. It's going to be, if you watched our videos on Saloy silliness, that's not only is it a wimp wars, but it's 6 elements that have to be Saloy. So extra wimpy, okay? Because knights can stand up to, light horse can stand up to knights, but Saloy, not so much. Well, now the next army I build will definitely be Saloy silliness capable. So we're definitely looking into doing that. So, and I'm also thinking about maybe doing a video on how I put them together. But I don't know. I can't do a live video with that because the problem is that I just can't seem to get better than 720p. So you're not going to be able to see figures up close in 720p. Okay, it's not going to work out really well. But hey, the more I yammer on, the sooner these guys dry and spray because I kind of like to push the limit on this drying thing. I'd say in probably 20 minutes, well, some of these guys have been dried for 3 months, so that's not an issue. It's just this last guy. I'll probably spray them at what is it? It's almost 3:15. At 3:45, close to 5 o'clock, or just before 5 o'clock. So with any luck, I'll have both coats on them, and then I'm dying to put these guys together. I want to photograph them. I already have a little background thing for it. I'll show you guys that while I'm yammering on. So one thing I started doing recently is creating little backdrops for my photos. I saw other people did them, and really liked how they look, and that adds a little bit of a detail to it. Now, I'm new to painting in that way. I mean, I've painted miniatures for 3 decades, but I'm new to painting canvas type things. And I was floored how easy it was to do. And that makes a huge, huge difference when it comes to you taking pictures. And it is so freaking easy. So what I did was I took my hobby paints because I have tons of paints. I don't have any paints that you would use like for artists in tubes and stuff like that. These are still acrylics, just like the if you were painting in acrylics. And I went on YouTube. YouTube is a great, as you guys probably know, a great place to learn maybe things that other people have done and what they've done with it. And looked up some videos on how to paint a landscape using acrylics. And I just applied them using craft paints. I basically used my shitty ass apple barrel type of craft paints to paint on canvas. Now, it didn't need to look perfect. It just needed to be a backdrop for the figures. So I watched a video on how to do it, and this is the very first one that I did. Oh. And this took less than 15 minutes to do. It was insane how fast it was. Okay. Now, the only thing that's weird is about it is this was the whole painting. Actually, this was the example that I watched a video and they used an example of how to paint this painting. Well, what I found out in doing this one is I didn't really need to do this bottom portion, because what will end up happening is when I set this thing up, I block all this out. I'm only interested in this backdrop portion for the figures. Okay, so all of this will be blocked off, because honestly the part that's kind of shitty is this here. Okay, and it's out of scale with the figures anyways. I'm only interested in the backdrop. So then when I decided, like, I can do more of these. Okay, I can do more of these, and what I can do is instead of using this space down here that's useless to me, I can paint two backdrops just by painting one like this and the other one like this, because I'm only interested in the backdrop portion, okay? So what I did was, that's kind of like an arable, it was kind of like an Italian Tuscany type looking thing. So I'm like, you know what? I need to photograph my Russians, and if you've seen pictures of my Russians painted, you'll recognize this background. I wanted a forest background, okay? So what I did is I did this right here. This is my background for the forest. No-brainer. If you've done a lot of painting, it's a no-brainer. Now, the one thing that I did learn from the one is, like the first painting I started doing, like, oh, well, you gotta add the gesso to the painting. This stuff right here. Well, I got just, you're not gonna sell something in a museum. You're gonna just paint a background there for your figures. So in the one thing, in the first one, if you notice, the person that showed me how to do it basically covered the entire white canvas with like a raw sienna color. Okay, so you're painting on like a brown, like a thin down brown. You're painting on it after it's dry, but I guess this would have never occurred to me to do this. Maybe that gives it more of a dusty look. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but I figured he's the expert. I'm going to follow what the recommendations are. So I painted this as my background for my forest for like my Russians. Okay, so I had that thing going, and then I figured, well, I need to also do one for my Sung Chinese. So I did this one here. So when I take a photograph of this, that's all you're going to see is just a backdrop. So this is like a step type of thing. And as you can see, there's just one behind the other. I don't care about the foreground, because the foreground is where your figures are going to be. Okay? And I've never painted clouds before. And yeah, this is plenty sufficient to take photographs on, especially when the focus of the camera is on the figures and not necessarily on the clouds. And then for my desert one, these guys here, I didn't want to just do sand dunes. So I went and I looked at some pictures of Arabia where these guys are from. And I did the same thing with these. Okay. Now here, I'm ready for whatever it is I'm going to do. I'm going to do whatever army I'm going to do next that one of these backgrounds doesn't work for. I'll end up painting the backdrop for it down here. But there's no reason to paint the foreground here when all you're interested in is the backdrop. This is just using crappy $1 paints from that you would pick up at like Joann's Fabrics or Michael's or something like that. You know, these apple barrel paints, they're plenty sufficient to use for doing backdrop stuff. And you're not really using that much paint or anything, you know. But anyhow, I figured I'd share that with you guys. Really easy to do. It makes your photographs look so much better. Because I've seen some people use kind of like this backdrop of like maybe like a piece of like gray felt, which looks really good. I just can't seem to do it. I mean, I'm still in the infancy of taking. If I get a good photograph of my figures, then it's a miracle. Okay, that's not what I'm trained to do. So, but anyhow, I wanted to share that with you guys. Definitely can be an improvement in looking how your photographs look, and kind of sets the stage for how they look. You're going to see pictures of those guys when these guys are complete. Well, I have taken pictures. If you look at the community on my YouTube channel, you look at the community tab, and you'll see a picture of my car-age foot with that backdrop, and it definitely it sets them in a place. So and it's super easy to do. All you got to do is just jump in and start painting a backdrop like you don't freaking know what you're doing, and you'll get through it. If you're an experienced painter, it's because I think painting that kind of stuff is a lot harder than painting figures. Painting figures is easy. I mean, even the best painter, the guy that's doing all the work is the sculptor. Okay, we're just doing paint by numbers without any numbers there. Okay, but the miniature tells you what's the high point, what's the low point. It's done there for you. We're just filling it all in. But creating a backdrop out of nothing, out of a flat surface, yeah, that's difficult. Or maybe I did go to a an art show several years ago. It was in a small town here, and where people sell crafts and stuff. And there was a guy on the sidewalk, and he was painting a landscape. And my daughter, who was little at the time, she was probably 8 or 9, said to him, "It's like, oh, Daddy, look, he paints like you do." And then the guy was painting and was interested in what I painted. Okay, he figured he would have something in common. So I showed him pictures of my figures and stuff, and he was like, "Man, that looks really hard." And I'm like, dude, it's just a trick. You're creating something out of nowhere. And I was kind of fascinated that the artist thought that what painting figures was difficult too. But I think maybe what it is it's just a trick. See, I think painting these figures is just a trick and patience. If you know what the trick is and you know what works and you're patient, you'll get through it, and you'll be happy with how they turn out. Maybe his is the same thing. It never occurred to me that that's what it is, but maybe it is. So um, yeah. So that was kind of a cool experience. But definitely try painting a backdrop. You don't have to buy a big canvas. These things are only, what is this, 8 by 6 by 8? Do you see what size they are? 6 by 8. I think my wife got these at a garage sale. So perfect. I think she paid like maybe $5 for 10 of them or something like that. So I'm like, all right, I could take a risk on them, but you know, um, yeah, it turned out great the first time. They could be better. I'm sure I'll make backdrops and they'll probably be better in the future, but they work okay for now. Remember, your photo isn't really on the focus on the backdrop, it's focused on your figures. So the backdrop's going to be hazy anyways. So there can be some mistakes and, that kind of stuff. It's not that big a deal. So, but anyways, these guys done, but you know what I mean. We're gonna be spray painting them soon, and of course that means I can start being fascinated about what art I'm going to do next. So I thought about possibly doing a video. Um, I thought about possibly doing a video on how I not do it live, because you need at least the 1080p to get the unpainted lead stuff. So um, yeah. So I know you guys maybe you guys are dying to see what army I'm going to do next. Maybe you're not, but it's hopefully it'll be something different um, than what you're used to seeing. So, but it is a DBA army for sure. So, because there's lots of different directions I could do. I could finish the Russian Knights. I can add some troop types to my medieval Germans. My medieval Germans are not 3.0 compatible. They're 2.2. My Ptolemaic army, you guys haven't seen those guys in action because it's a 2.2 army. I lose 2 of the pikemen. Originally, it had in 2.2, it had 6 pikemen. Now it only has 4. And it's going to gain another solid ox and a warband. So that's 2 troop types I do not have. But I'm just not excited about bringing those guys up to speed. So I don't think I'm going to go in that direction. I think I'm going to probably start a new army, and maybe if I get bored, work at the are not very intricate. So I think that yeah, painting the Russians is kind of the opposite of painting these guys. Okay, because the Russian guys really have detailed shields and everything. These are the little big man studio shields, okay, which look really shiny. Looks terrible, but hey, Michael Malinowski, you're from Poland, I would hope. So, man, it's late there. About 10 p.m. Uh, so yeah, this is the little big man studio shield transfers, which look like they're silvering, but I thought for sure it was going to be. Hey, I said 9 and 10. I nailed it. I bracketed your time. 9:30. Perfect. Uh, they actually turn out okay. They are totally flat when I'm done with them. I was surprised. I'm like, this is a not happy with them, but they turned out just fine. So maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll work on some of the Russians as I go because they fight Mitch's Poles, which are probably Mitch's favorite army. They also fight Mitch's Teutonic. I mean Luke's Teutonic Knights, which is Luke's favorite army. So yeah, they're nearly done. All the foot's done. Just a matter of doing the finishing up 7 mounted figures. But I'm just not feeling the pull to do that. I want to try something different. So yeah, so that's probably what we're gonna do. Is they're sitting here on the painting table, so they're collecting dust. So um, I don't know. Maybe I'll work on a couple different things if I get. The problem with the guys I'm going to paint now is they may be a little boring. So they may be a little bit boring to do. So, but yeah, you guys seen this before? This little guy I painted up. Man, the lighting is terrible. How about that? That's better. This cost $1. There's a store here called Dollar General, and this thing was literally $1. It was all this color, the entire thing, and with some basing in black and dry brushing. Bam! This is my camp that I use for the Burgundians and my medieval Germans. Now I know it's not a camp, but it does give the feeling of that part of the world for me. So um, more than one of them, and they had a couple different designs, but none of them really were in scale with it. But yeah, this is it. This took a while. This took probably 10 hours worth of work, maybe a little less. But again, it's the people say, man, a painting takes a long time. Well, how much time do you spend watching television? Add all that up, or watching sports. How much time you spend watching all that? Well, not this year, the year of no sports for you sports fans. But if you add all that up in painting, it's not that bad. Michael, you said they. What is it? The comments just keep disappearing. That's the problem. Those are 15 millimeter. They look kind of big. The Russians, yeah, they're. I guess they call them 18s. They're equivalent in size with Old Glory. They're Merloton. I have an Old Glory mounted guy. I do here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at these guys side by side. He's a little bit. He's a little bit bigger. The figure's smaller. I think they look fine. I think they look okay. They work for me. Um, but if you want to build these guys, I think there's a Polish company which I'm sure you're familiar with because I would imagine. I mean, if there was a company in Florida that made 15 millimeter figures, I would know. There's a Polish company that came out. I heard about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they do a lot of Dark Age stuff. They may do Russians and Poles and this kind of stuff as well. But the only game in town is these Merloton guys and Essex. Okay, and I find the Essex guys for these really kind of lacking. These figures are beautiful. I did have some Polish armies from a Polish manufacturer called, I wanted to say it was called Osmial. I picked them up about 10 years ago, and they were made out of the hard. The compound they were made out of was so hard. I used to joke with my friend that they were melted down Soviet bloc tanks. Where they were stronger than the X-Acto knife blade. Like if you were going to clean any flash off, it was just a nightmare. It was just a nightmare. And I ended up selling them. I ended up selling the figures, but it was a later Polish army, and there was nothing wrong with the castings now. But yeah, I picked that army up like 2009 when they first came out, and I want to say they don't make them anymore. They sold the molds to someone else, but the castings are beautiful. They just happen to be extremely hard. Almost they were made out of steel, which isn't a problem, except that if you need to clean flashing, that's a problem because you're not going to be able to do that. Uh, but yeah, Merlaton makes really nice castings. I've got a bunch of Merlaton Condata to do. That's another army I was thinking about doing, but as soon as I found out my buddy Joe, he was interested in an army and built it. I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm not interested in building it. Not because it's not a good army, not because it doesn't fit with the other armies I have, but because someone I know that I play with frequently already has the army. So why bother making that one when I can make something else that no one has? Does that make any sense? It should make sense to me. There's 530 armies to have. There's no reason for us to have all the same ones when when there's other ones to have. So, but yeah, QR miniatures. That could be them. That could be them. I don't know how shipping is from Poland, but I suspect it's pretty bad for us in the States. Like I mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned in this video, one of my earlier ones, the shipping from the United Kingdom to the United States is pretty equivalent to um, is pretty equivalent to shipping from the United States. But the rest of Europe, at least Italy and Spain, is insane. It's like it could be half of your order and takes a long time. Even before the plague nonsense, even before all the plague thing happened, it still would take a long time. So, like, if I was going to order Merlaton, I wouldn't order from Italy. Although I did do that, didn't I? What did I order recently from Merlaton? Oh, I had to order some. My Russian army was a 2.2 army pack, and since we're playing 3.0, I was short some bowmen, so I had to order them from Italy, and they were super expensive. But I did get them. But I've done that before. So, the main thing is it's if you order the figures and they cost a lot of money, please make sure you use them. There's nothing worse than throwing money at something and then not using it. So, um, okay, Michael says, but everybody gotta have late Seleucids. That's the rule. It's those armored elephants, isn't it? It's those armored elephants that looks really cool. Um, Everybody's gotta like them. So even I have them, but I haven't painted them. I decided to do Ptolemaic instead, as Mitch has Seleucids. So I may never get around to doing late Seleucids. So okay, to be honest, you ordered miniatures from the United Kingdom today. Good job keeping the economy rolling, and paid for shipping the same as for a Polish delivery. So yeah, over here shipping makes a big difference. Overseas shipping makes a big difference. Yeah. Yeah, well, you have an idea what it's getting at, what you're getting for that. Nobody wants to pay the shipping for that. So, uh, speaking of Seleucids, when I was building my Ptolemaic, and I have Ptolemaic and Seleucids, and I got them from Tin Soldier, which have a very unique look. They're big and bulky and sometimes look awkward, but they have a lot of character. So I was building my Ptolemaic army. Tin soldiers, elephants, I detest. They're extremely big headed. Very, very, very large, big headed. I don't know why many manufacturers have trouble sculpting an elephant that's proper. I'll give you an example. I think Zyston miniatures are great. Okay. I love how they're proportioned, except they're elephants. Their elephants look like both of their eyes are in the front of their head. They look like a snuffleupagus. I don't know why. I don't know why it's so difficult to sculpt an elephant that looks right. So when I was building the Ptolemaic army, I wanted to get a Ptolemaic elephant that looked like the African variety because I was building a later Ptolemaic type army when all the Indian elephants had already been consumed in all the battles. So I wanted to do an African forest elephant. So I settled on getting one from. It's really weird. If you look at Donnington Miniatures, it's like they're ancient and medieval suppliers of something or another. I forget exactly what their website is, but it's Donnington Miniatures. They've been around for a long time, and no one in the United States carries them. You have to order them from overseas. Well, the shipping on it was get a Seleucid elephant also to go with them because I have the Seleucid army also the same manufacturer, and their Seleucid elephant looks good as well. So I ended up paying as much for shipping for those two as I did for the two elephants. So it ended up being like a $40 order or something like that, and half of it was shipping. So that's just one of those things. But I was really happy with the way the Ptolemaic elephant turned out, and you can get a picture of my Ptolemaic elephant, so you can see what a lot of money ended up buying. This is my Ptolemaic army, where I have mixed in figures and probably took the mixing of figures into the extreme. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me zoom in on these guys. Okay, and it's going to be probably a little jumpy, and I apologize. It's probably not the best resolution. I zoomed in a little too much. How about there? How about there? Okay, okay. So this is little big, little big man. What am I saying? This is Tin Soldier. They're from the UK. They may have them in Australia as well. Okay, and they're very. Let's see. Let's put it next to some normal looking figures. They're pretty big. They're pretty big and they're out of scale and they're kind of bulky, but they paint up really well. Okay, they paint up really well, and yeah, they have a unique look. Okay, so I wanted one of my pikeman units to have a command. Well, I wanted them to have a banner. Okay, because I'm a big banner flag guy. All right, so I wanted to. The only way, and I happen to have I happen to have a Zyston figure that holds a banner up. Okay, so I had to paint a little Ptolemaic eagle on there. That's the kind of stuff I like to do. Okay, hand painted on there. But as you can see, the Zyston figure, which is proportioned pretty well, is a totally different style than the other Ptolemaic pikemen. But it works. I'm okay with it. I mean, it's either that or I don't have a banner. So I think that given the choices, it worked out okay. That's my Ptolemaic pikeman. All right. Now, another example before we get to the elephant. Um, the knights, the companions that come in from this army look like the guys that are on the edges. Okay, they've got really big forearms. The horse is proportioned pretty well, but the figure's just kind of weird looking. They have a unique look. Well, they didn't make a general. Well, they made a general, but it was Alexander. Okay, I did not want Alexander. I needed some Ptolemaic looking guy. All right. So I put a Zyston guy in the middle of it. They're not the same size. I mean, look at the size of the difference of the head between the Ptolemaic general and the guys on the end. I mean, they're 50% bigger. But you know what? I almost don't even notice it anymore. It's okay. It works for me. All right. It's it just is. It's either that or I don't have a. I can't stand having an army that has a general figure that. Oh, I forgot I did the little Greek key things on his cape. Hey, Greek key, look, Greek key. Anyhow, little Greek key on his cape thing there. I can't stand having a command stand that doesn't look like that it has a commander. Okay, so that's one of my things, and that's usually the figure I paint last. Like you have to earn them. You got to paint the whole damn army before you get to paint the general there. Okay, all right. So the elephant. So the elephant and the crew are all from um, Donington. Okay, and it's the forest type elephant where it looks smaller than most elephant. As a matter of fact, yeah, usually elephant figures are massive. You know, um, and I think he turned out pretty well, but he was costly. But that's okay. He got painted. You know. So anyhow, I wanted an elephant that looked like this. So um, anyhow, the go look at the tin soldier elephants. They're they're huge. Their heads are huge. Is what the problem is. They're proportioned totally wrong. Like it's some mythical creature. Like I mean, it's not even a mastodon big. It's even bigger than that. It's ridiculous. So, but I like the rest of their skirmishers. Even their Soloi almost look like Ziggy, the old comic strip Ziggy here in the United States. But you know, it is what it is. You know, they're just they're figures. Even the Zyston guys are. If you want to get really detailed, one of the Zyston guys are sometimes overproportioned, sometimes, but that's okay. Uh, but anyhow, all right, we got a couple more questions here. Da, 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 da. Okay, you have a Gallic army with Seleucid chariot. Well, that would be the Galatians, right? So the interesting thing I found out about the Galatians recently is they came down and they're basically the Gauls that came to Greece and terrorized the Greeks many times. But the big time that they made the incursion was right after Alexander passed away. So he was messing with some of the successors that were there. But their foot is warband. Okay, at least that particular Galatian army is warband. Because later on, if you do them later on in the list, they actually have some invitation legionnaire type looking guys. But the warband guys fought naked. Okay, so you're looking for a bunch of naked guys running around as warband. That's kind of cool, you know. I don't know if they're sculpted correctly. I mean, there could be a huge problem with them. Like they could have sculpted all the figures being circumcised. Well, that would be just totally wrong for those guys. I digress. But yeah, the Galatian foot warband during that time period where they used the side chariot were on. That'd be a reason to paint them. You can paint a bunch of naked guys. So okay, Michael says I would say that the allure of later Seleucids comes from the armored elephants, but because they have the all of the iconic units of antiquity: elephants, phalangites, chariots, and legionnaires. Yeah, they're like a Swiss Army knife. Everybody likes those. What I don't like about the Seleucids is that there's a lot of armies. You can't paint every army red. Okay, you can't, or it's just going to look wrong. Well, Romans tend to be red. Seleucids are red. Han Chinese are red. I don't want a whole lot of armies that are red because it look like I'm doing it wrong, even though that's the best case scenario is what's known is the Seleucids are known for wearing red. So like if I'm doing the Ptolemaics, I'm not going to do the Ptolemaics red, even if they did, because they even if they did have a little yellowish, it's kind of a yellow type feel to them. Okay, so you don't want every army to look the same, so that when they face each other, you'll be able to tell them apart from each other. So you kind of have to take what's kind of realistic and maybe tweak that a little bit, just for gamesmanship, a little bit for painting purposes. So Kevin says he loves those helmets. Yeah, the Smurf hats, the the Smurf guys. Yeah, yeah. That's what happens when you want to have an armored tailor to your taste. My 20 millimeter Carthaginians are for 5 companies. Yeah, you like the Ptolemaics? Thank you. Smaller heads matches TTG. Yeah, African. It's African or Indian? Uh, African or European? I don't know. This is African forest elephant. This is of all the African forest elephants that everybody makes, I felt like this was the most realistic looking one. So I went with this one, definitely, because I wanted to do that. There's a picture of a Ptolemaic elephant in a book on the Ptolemaic army by Nicholas Secunda, and it has an elephant that looks very similar to this. And I wanted that. That's the look I wanted. So, yeah, this is a fun army, the Ptolemaics. So, but yeah, so these guys are complete. We're gonna call this off now. Thanks you guys for joining me, and thanks for today, the people that helped me get through the nightmare that is finishing these guys, so I could move on to happier times. So, not that I had a bad time doing this, but I'm tired of these. I want to move on to something else. So, we're gonna do the spray coats and get that going so that we can do some basing and then you guys can check out some pictures. So, anyhow, yeah. Until next time, thanks for stopping by, and we got some more video goodies coming up. Thanks, folks. Have a good rest of the weekend. Bye bye.